Your future is not decided by luck. It is not decided by talent. It is not decided by where you come from. Your future is decided by something much closer than you think. Your thoughts. Every decision you make started as a thought. Every habit you repeat started as a thought. Every direction your life takes started as a thought. Most people never realize this. They live on autopilot, guided by thoughts they never chose. In this video, you will understand why your thoughts quietly control your future, and how changing your thinking can completely change the direction of your life. If you stay till the end, you will never ignore your thoughts again. What a thought really is. A thought is not just an idea. It is a signal. A signal that tells your brain what to focus on, what to ignore, what to believe. Your brain listens carefully to your thoughts. It treats them as instructions. That's why repeated thoughts become beliefs, and beliefs shape behavior. How thoughts turn into patterns. One thought doesn't change your life, but repeated thoughts create patterns. Patterns become habits. Habits become routines. Routines become lifestyle, and lifestyle becomes your future. This happens slowly, quietly, automatically. Most people don't notice the process. They only notice the result. Why most people feel stuck? Many people feel stuck not because life is difficult, but because their thinking is repetitive. Same thoughts, same reactions, same outcomes. When your thoughts don't change, your future doesn't either. Your brain believes what you repeat. Your brain doesn't judge thoughts. It doesn't ask, is this true? It asks, how often is this repeated? Repeated thoughts feel familiar. Familiar thoughts feel true. That's how beliefs are formed. How limiting thoughts control direction. Thoughts like, I'm not ready yet. This is not for people like me. I'll try later. These thoughts don't stop you instantly. They delay action. And delayed action slowly changes your future. Thoughts shape self-image. Your self-image is built from thoughts. If your thoughts say, I can learn, you grow. If your thoughts say, I can't change, you stay stuck. You don't act based on reality. You act based on how you see yourself. And that vision comes from thought patterns. Why your future feels automatic. Have you ever wondered why? You react the same way. You repeat the same mistakes. You choose the same comfort. It's not because you lack control. It's because your thoughts are on autopilot. Automatic thoughts create automatic futures. Awareness is the first shift. The moment you notice your thoughts, you interrupt the pattern. Awareness creates space, and space creates choice. Without awareness, your future runs on default settings. Thoughts, emotions, actions. This chain controls everything. Thoughts create emotions. Emotions drive actions. Actions shape results. Change the first step. The entire chain changes. Small thought shifts, big future change. You don't need to force positive thinking. You need intentional thinking. Replacing one repeated thought can slowly redirect your entire life. Why thinking shapes opportunities. Your brain looks for what you think about. If your thoughts focus on problems, you see obstacles. If your thoughts focus on solutions, you see options. Same world, different future. Tension hook for part 2. In the next part, you will learn how thoughts quietly shape decisions every day. Why your mind protects familiar thinking. How to stop negative thought loops without force. Part 2 explains the real mechanism behind thought control. Part 2. How thoughts shape decisions, habits, and direction. How thoughts silently control daily decisions. Most people believe decisions are logical. But in reality, decisions are emotional first and logical later. And emotions are created by thoughts. Before you decide to try or avoid, to continue or quit, to act or delay, a thought appears. That thought decides how the situation feels. And how it feels decides what you do. This happens so fast that you don't even notice it. The invisible loop most people live in. Here is the loop. Thought, emotion, action, result. Same thought. Example. Thought, this will be difficult. Emotion, resistance. Action, delay. Result, no progress. Thought, see, nothing changes. This loop repeats quietly, and each repetition strengthens it. That's how a future gets locked in. Why the mind protects familiar thoughts. Your brain is designed for safety, not growth. Familiar thoughts feel safe, even if they limit you. New thoughts feel uncertain. Uncertainty feels risky to the brain. So the brain tries to pull you back to what feels familiar. That's why change feels uncomfortable at first. Not because it's wrong, but because it's new. Why you return to old patterns. Have you noticed? You promise to change. You feel motivated. Then slowly return to old habits. This is not weakness. It's your brain following familiar thinking. Thoughts create mental comfort zones, leaving them feel strange. That's why awareness is more powerful than force. How thoughts shape what you notice. Your brain filters reality. You don't see everything. You see what your thoughts prepare you to see. If your thoughts focus on limitations, you notice obstacles. Growth, you notice opportunities. Two people can face the same situation and move in completely different directions because their thoughts guide their attention. Thoughts and self-talk. The way you talk to yourself matters. Not because words are magical, but because repetition trains belief. Self-talk becomes self-image, and self-image decides what you attempt, what you avoid, what feels possible. Your future follows that image. Why negative thoughts feel stronger? Negative thoughts feel powerful because the brain gives them priority. The brain is wired to notice problems, but noticing problems is not the same as being controlled by them. The issue is not having negative thoughts. The issue is believing every thought. Thoughts are not facts. This is one of the most important ideas. A thought is a suggestion, not a command. Just because you think something doesn't mean it's true. But when thoughts go unquestioned, they shape reality. How to create space between you and your thoughts. The moment you pause and observe a thought, it loses power. Instead of, this will never work, you notice, I'm having a thought that this may not work. That small shift creates control. Control creates choice. Choice changes direction. Why awareness changes the future. When you notice your thinking patterns, you stop reacting automatically. You start responding intentionally. This doesn't happen overnight. But slowly, your reactions change. And changed reactions create a different future. Small thought shifts that change direction. You don't need dramatic thinking. Small shifts are enough. From, I can't, I'm learning. From, later, one step now. From, this is hard, this is new. These thoughts don't create instant success. They create movement. Movement builds momentum. Why thoughts shape confidence? Confidence is not personality. It's a result of thought patterns. When your thoughts say, I can handle this, you act differently. That action reinforces belief. Belief builds confidence. Thoughts become habits without notice. Repeated thoughts don't stay in the mind. They move into behavior. What you think often, you do often. What you do often, you become. This is how thoughts build identity. How thinking shapes long-term direction. Your future is not built in one decision. It is built in thousands of small choices. And each choice starts as a thought. That's why thoughts matter so deeply. Retention hook for part 3. In the next part you will learn how to interrupt negative thought patterns, how to train your mind to support your future. Simple daily practices that reshape thinking. Part 3 is where transformation becomes practical. Part 3. How to retrain your mind for a better future. Why most people never change their thinking. Most people don't fail because of lack of ability. They fail because they never interrupt their thinking patterns. Thoughts run automatically. And whatever runs automatically controls direction. If thinking is never questioned, the future repeats itself. The autopilot mode of the mind. Your mind prefers autopilot. Why? Because autopilot saves energy. Old thoughts require no effort. New thoughts require attention. That's why the brain pulls you back to familiar thinking, even when it limits growth. This is not a problem. This is how the brain works. But awareness changes everything. The first step: notice without judging. You don't fight thoughts. You don't suppress thoughts. You notice them. Instead of saying, "I shouldn't think this way," you say, "This is the thought pattern showing up again." No judgment. No emotion. Just observation. Observation breaks unconscious control. Why awareness is more powerful than force. Force creates resistance. Awareness creates choice. When you force positivity, the mind pushes back. When you observe thoughts calmly, the mind relaxes. Relaxation allows change. The pause that changes everything. Between thought and action, there is a tiny pause. Most people never notice it, but that pause is where freedom lives. When a thought appears, pause. Breathe. Observe. You don't need to replace the thought immediately. Just don't react instantly. That pause weakens old patterns. How repetition builds mental strength. The mind is trained by repetition, not by motivation, not by inspiration, by repetition. The thoughts you return to daily become your default future. That's why daily mental habits matter more than occasional motivation. Training the mind like a muscle. Your mind works like a muscle. Use it intentionally. It strengthens. Ignore it. It weakens. Mental training doesn't require hours. It requires consistency. Small daily focus creates big shifts. The power of daily check-in. Once a day ask, what thoughts did I repeat today? Not to judge, just to notice. This question alone changes awareness. Awareness changes behavior. Behavior shapes the future. How to interrupt negative thought loops. When a negative loop starts, don't argue. Don't panic. Don't believe it. Simply label it. This is a repeating pattern. Labeling creates distance. Distance reduces control. Redirecting without resistance. After noticing a thought, gently redirect. Not with force. Not with fake positivity, but with realism. Example. This feels difficult. I can take one small step. Small redirection is powerful. It keeps momentum alive. Why small steps rewire thinking? The mind believes action more than words. When you take small actions, the brain updates belief. Confidence grows naturally. Thinking changes after action, not before. Building trust with your own mind. Each time you notice a thought, choose a better response. You build trust with yourself. Trust creates stability. Stability allows growth. The role of environment in thinking. Your environment feeds your thoughts. What you see, hear, and consume becomes mental input. Input shapes thinking. Thinking shapes future. That's why conscious input matters. Simple input, shifts that matter. You don't need extreme changes. Small adjustments are enough. More silence. Less noise. Intentional content. Focused time. These protect your mental direction. Why discipline beats motivation? Motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. Motivation fades. Structure stays. Thought training works best when tied to routine. Routine removes resistance. The role of routine in mental control. When thinking habits are attached to routine, the mind resists less. Consistency increases. This is why routines shape future success, not intensity. From thinking to identity. Repeated thoughts, beliefs. Repeated beliefs. Identity. Identity decides what feels natural, what feels impossible. Change identity slowly, by changing thoughts consistently. The future is built quietly. Most people expect change to feel dramatic. It doesn't. Real change feels calm. Quiet repetition. Small shifts. Daily awareness. That's how futures are built. Retention hook for part 4. In part 4, you will discover how to lock in new thinking permanently, how to protect your mind from setbacks, how to design a future that stays aligned. Part 4. Locking your mindset and designing the future you want. Why most people lose progress after some time. Most people don't fail immediately. They fail slowly, not because they stop trying, but because they stop protecting their thinking. At first, awareness is high. Focus feels strong. Then life happens. Old patterns quietly return. That's why the final step is not motivation. It is mental protection. The final level, protecting your mind. A trained mind still needs protection. Why? Because the brain always looks for the familiar. If you don't guard your thinking, old habits reclaim control. Protection is not isolation. It is intentional boundaries. Understanding setbacks the right way. Setbacks are not failure. They are feedback. Every setback shows where awareness dropped, where routine weakened, where attention shifted. Successful people don't panic during setbacks. They reset calmly. The reset system that keeps you on track. When you feel off track, pause, breathe, ask, what thought pattern returned? Not, why am I like this? But, what changed in my thinking? This question restores control. Why self-talk decides recovery speed. What you say after a mistake decides how fast you recover. Harsh self-talk creates delay. Calm self-talk creates momentum. Say this instead. I noticed the pattern. I can adjust. That sentence alone resets direction. Building a mind that bounces back fast. Mental strength is not about never falling. It's about quick recovery. Fast recovery comes from awareness, self-trust, consistent habits. These are trained, not gifted. The future is decided by daily defaults. Your future is not decided by big events. It is decided by what you think when tired, what you choose when distracted, what you repeat when no one is watching. Daily defaults shape destiny. How to create strong daily defaults. Strong defaults come from systems, not willpower. Examples. Same focus time daily. Same reflection question. Same mental reset rituals. Systems. Remove decision fatigue. Less thinking. More consistency. The role of identity in long-term change. People don't protect habits. They protect identity. When you see yourself as focused, disciplined, and intentional, your brain defends those traits automatically. Identity creates self-regulation. How to shift identity naturally. Identity shifts through evidence. Every small action sends a message. This is who I am. One focused session, one calm response, one disciplined choice. These stack silently. Why comparison damages thinking? Comparison pulls attention outward. When attention goes outward, control weakens. Your journey is internal. Your pace is personal. Growth accelerates when comparison stops. Focus is the new superpower. In a distracted world, focus creates advantage. Focus improves learning speed, decision quality, emotional balance. A focused mind designs a better future. Protecting focus in a noisy world. You don't need to escape the world. You need intentional limits. Protect focus by choosing silence, reducing unnecessary input, being selective with attention. Attention is energy. Spend it wisely. How successful people think about time. They don't rush. They don't panic. They think long-term. Short-term discomfort for long-term clarity. This mindset removes anxiety and builds patience. Patience is a mental skill. Patience is not waiting. Patience is trusting the process while continuing effort. It's a mental discipline, not a personality trait. The truth about consistency. Consistency is not intensity. It is showing up even when low. Doing less but doing it daily. Small actions repeated beat big actions done rarely. Your thinking creates your personal reality. Reality is filtered through thought. Two people face the same situation. They experience different futures. Why? Because interpretation shapes outcome. Change interpretation. Change direction. Final mental framework. Ask yourself daily, what kind of future does this thought support? If it doesn't serve growth, release it. You don't need to fight thoughts, just don't follow them. The quiet power of alignment. When thoughts, actions, and goals align, life feels lighter. Less resistance, more flow. Alignment is built, not discovered. While your future is still flexible, no matter where you are now,
Your future is adjustable. Because thoughts are adjustable. And thoughts decide direction. Final message. High retention ending. Your mind is not your enemy. It is your tool. Train it. Protect it. Guide it. Because the future you want is built quietly inside your thinking. And once your thoughts change, everything else follows.